It's possible, I think, over the long haul of history that we might get quantum computing, and that quantum computing might be fast enough and quantum enough to imitate the human brain in its operations. But the difficulty will be that we will never be able to comprehend the workings of the human brain, because while it's working, it's locked away inside one's head. It can't be interfered with or watched very closely. It can only be watched indirectly at scales of magnitude larger than the activities that are taking place. So in the lack of comprehension of how the brain works, if we come to some kind of quantum computer intelligence, it will have to have been through its own independent evolution and modality. And that gets so speculative that it can be any kind of thinking creature. You just can't tell at this point. This whole realm of speculation requires several ifs all coming out in the right direction. So as a decision tree, you've gotten to a very far branch that can't bear much weight. If it proves that we can make quantum computers, that's an if. If we can comprehend enough about the human brain to model these computers on the human brain, that's another huge if that I don't think will work. Then we'll get somewhere. And at that point, really you're in a part of science fiction where you could almost say anything and then just make it plausible as story. I don't think we'll ever see a technological singularity. I think that it's a metaphorical only, and that I think that you have to postulate too many ifs coming right to have that powerful of a machine intelligence to be able to self-evolve. It's essentially putting the cart before the horse, or saying that we can do it and we can't. And then so we're saying, okay, well, we couldn't do it, but maybe smart machines could do it. But the smart machines are merely based on or modeled on our intelligence. And so it's a circular argument that I don't think has a catch point in reality. So I don't think we're going to have a technological singularity. Well, I thought the point of the technological singularity, at least the Vingian singularity, is that our human purpose becomes irrelevant because they've shot off into their own space, these higher machine intelligences, and they're not interested in us. So we become like a placenta that has created and birthed this particular form of intelligence that then takes off on its own. And then whatever we do, you could imagine a singularity story in which we managed that and the machines went off into the heart of the galaxy because the black holes there are the best energy source or whatever they think. They're thinking not like us anymore, they're off. And then we're still back with our same problems on our same planet as the animals that we are. And that might be a fun short story to tell, just as an idea. Maybe it's been told already. Then you get really many ifs in a row, so it becomes a kind of science fantasy, and it really sounds a lot like Arthur C. Clarke's Childhood's End, where the human species becomes a group mind and all the young enough ones that have been altered take off together. So it's sort of been a story that's already been told. But I have the feeling that consciousness and brains are very coterminous, and that these are ways of writing new stories that don't have a strong probability factor in them. And this is, once again, this is just a guess on my part and a preference for certain kinds of science fiction. In a way, it already has. The most prosperous people on the planet live more healthily and more actualized, fuller lives, and live considerably longer than the poorest portion of the people on the planet. And so it's a beginning of speciation. And if it were to continue where we ignored the problems with justice, the inequity on the planet, that a certain portion of the planet sequestered all the value of human labor and of natural resources and only devoted it to themselves and left the rest of humanity behind, you get a sort of speciation of class. But it's only an exaggeration of what's already occurring. So it's something that can be combated before you get to the kind of genetic level of true genetic changes. Well, yes, there should be a right to work. That means a right to a sufficiency or to adequacy. So yes, a social safety net saying that everybody gets to do something that gives them the wherewithal to get what they need, and that people should not be abandoned, like I don't know, pets that people don't want anymore or something like that. That in essence, the project at this point should be creating adequacy for everybody, and then we move on to the more exotic projects. Well, I think we see that beginning already, so this is why it comes up as a question, because you can see the possibilities there. But it would be radically destabilizing, too, of the civilizational effort. The people feeling that they're left behind have nothing to lose, and so blow themselves up along with their tormentors. So in terms of peace issues, in terms of public safety, it doesn't do. And then, of course, there's just the moral issue that it wouldn't be the right thing to do. So yeah, this is a worry that you can't ignore, even at tech conferences where you're discussing all the cool things that could happen. There's injustice. There's also environmental damage. These two things are destabilizing of the whole futurist project, or the whole self-actualization project, or augmentation, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't want to call it transhumanism because I think that term is just badly wrong as to what we're talking about, and also in its effect on the ordinary person looking at it as a specialized place of human interest. It's a bad name. I don't think that we should be seeking augmented human powers beyond longevity, healthy longevity itself. I think it's a little weird, greedy, or ungrateful, or unaware that ordinary human health is enough, and we don't need more. But on the other hand, I'm interested in various cyborg possibilities, that you can get in a car and go fast, that you can put things on your face and see better, that you can save your teeth through your age. So once again, you get into health. And there are augmentations that I value, like rapid travel. But the changing of the human body to get things beyond what we can get ourselves, I think is unnecessarily taking it too far, because the human brain has evolved to appreciate the stuff that the human body can do. And if you push yourself into a permanent technological sublime, then you never have the ordinary pleasures of the ordinary day. You are stuck in a sort of sublimity that people talk about when they talk about posthumanism. I don't think it's a desirable state, and also it never is being proposed as for everybody on the planet. And so it's inherently got a gradient of privilege. And privilege for what? Why isn't being human good enough? Once you're well working in your own basic humanity, that is a blessing that you ought to be thankful for, rather than seeking, oh, now I want more. Sure. And that would involve something that people don't talk about much at a conference like this because it's controversial, this better living through chemistry. It would involve drug treatments as well as all of the more physical, technological augmentations that people seem to be imagining. Sticking computers into your eyeball, etc., etc. Altering mood, altering brain states, altering consciousness by way of different chemicals in your brain. I mean, this would be a natural part of that whole program, and there's fuzzy zones there that get really interesting, and indeed that's the job of science fiction, is to sort of say, well, what if we could do this, what would it result in, and really try to explore the secondary and tertiary effects and see if you can come to any preliminary conclusions before you essentially are going to end up one way or another advocating a course of action. We should research this, and then you get either agreement, which means money, or you don't. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that first you have shelter and food, then you have security and love, and then you have self-actualization, where you become a philosopher, a painter, a dancer, or you travel to the Himalayas or whatever, so that it's a stepwise a pyramid of needs fulfilled. And then also just the whole democratization thing, that everybody else needs to be at a somewhat similar state of adequacy before you get too hungry for the extras that exist at the very top of the pyramid. And since we're not there yet, it seems to me that at a conference like this, the discussions are going on about possibilities that should be discussed a century or two from now, when we have more physical capacity to do it and research it properly, and also we don't have such a screwed up situation on the planet with both human terms and in environmental terms.